And good morning. This is Mr. Stark. As most of you know, I am not here today, but we're going to still learn about misleading graphs and finish up this chapter. All right, so that means tomorrow we're going to be taking a quiz over this. All right, but let's first talk about all the graphs that we've learned. Okay, there sometimes are misleading. Okay, and we're going to kind of give you some ideas of how you can see when it's a misleading graph. All right, this is my second video. Right, instead of me being in the film, this time I'm just going to be talking. All right, so you guys can't make fun of the facial expressions or any of my videos that I did before. All right, so let's start with misleading graphs. All right, so you should have notes from from the sub, and hopefully, you're going to be filling them out as we go. All right, so let's start by creating this first graph. All right, it says, use this grid to make a bar graph. So we're going to make a bar graph over the data that's on above the graph. All right, with cougars, stars, whales, and redwoods. All right, so on the very bottom, let's put a C for cougars, a S for stars, a W for whales, and a R for redwoods. For my first bar, cougars is 50. Okay, so I'm going to go to 50 and make my bar graph. All right, stars, we're at 55, so I'm going to go up to about 55. Make my graph. Whales is at 90, so it's going clear up to 90. And you're going to make my graph. And then finally, redwoods is going to go to 60. All right, so here is my graph. All right, this first graph, there is no misleading parts of it. All right, if you notice that on the left side, it starts at 0. Okay, we have the different teams on the bottom. Okay, there's nothing wrong, with that graph. All right, let's do the same thing now. Right, hopefully you are noticing something that's just a little bit different. Okay, and be looking for that when we recreate this graph. So again, do the same thing. Put C, S, W, and R on the bottom. So C, S, W, and R on the bottom. This time, C again is to 50. Okay, S is at 55. W is at 90. And redwoods is at 60. Okay? So as of this point, I want you to kind of pause it, okay, and answer the questions on the bottom. All right, answer the questions on the bottom with your think and discuss. Okay, think and discuss about how these graphs has changed and what you're going to think about how it could be misleading. All right, so pause, see what you think. All right, now coming back. With 3, describe how the second graph could be misleading. Hopefully, you noticed that on the left side, your y-axis label, starts at 40. Okay, starts at 40. So it should look like that the Cougars didn't really win very many games, compared to the Whales. That the Whales were almost double and triple, the size of them. All right, so hopefully you noticed that. And then 4, discuss why someone might want to use the second grid to make this graph, is to show, one thing that I would say is to show the Whales are double or triple, you could either say are or have, double or triple the wins as any other team. Okay, that there's certain times where, okay, you might see a graph that is misleading and they have a reason for wanting to show that type of graph. All right, so we're going to be working on this, of being able to look at graphs and see why or how it's misleading. So let's turn to the back. On the back, okay, on the very top are several ways where things might be misleading. Right, so we've already kind of talked about on the vertical axis that will not start at 0. So that's always the first thing you look for. Does it start at 0? All right, the intervals on the bottom are not equal. Okay, so we will kind of show that here in just a little bit of how maybe the bottom axis is not equal. Right, and then the sectors of a circle graph do not total 100%. Okay, so what that means is when we have our circle graph, okay, if you notice, maybe this is 20%, 15%, 20%, 15%. That your percentages do not add up to a whole, do not add up to 100%. With stats, right, as we're looking for a sample size is too small, okay, so you don't have a big enough sample size. Okay, the population has bias towards a topic. Like if you're asking who you're going to vote for in the next election, but you only survey Democrats, well, that's a biased survey. And the last one is if there's an outlier. We talked about that yesterday about an outlier. Okay, definitely changes the mean. All right, and that is not a good representation of the data. All right, so let's go through 1 through 3. Okay, again, be thinking what you would put as we go through. So the number 1 says, when is it misleading to use the mean as a descriptor of a data set? Okay, hopefully you're thinking bottom right of your stats, okay? That the mean, okay, when there is an outlier, okay, that would, okay, be misleading. Right, number 2, what should you check when you're analyzing a circle graph? Okay, you should be looking for adding up to 100%. All right, it needs to be 100% for it to be an accurate circle graph. And then finally, which would be more trustworthy, a survey of 10 people or a survey of 100 people? What would be more trustworthy? Okay, hopefully a survey of 100 people. Okay, where we talked about sample size is too small. Okay, 10 people is way too small. All right, now we have to also think about 100 people. Is it going to be a bias towards a certain topic? Are those 100 people going to be biased, or is it a random sample? All right, with that. Okay, so use those. Okay, let's finish up our notes. Okay, with a few examples here. All right, so let's look at the very first graph. Okay, how is the first graph misleading? All right, so be looking. Okay, vertical axis, does it start at 0? Are the years on the bottom, do they go up by the same amount? Right, or are they different? Right, that's what you're kind of looking for when it is a graph. Okay, what might someone believe because of this? So be thinking, why is it misleading? And what might they think, okay, as they have, where it's money given to schools in thousands of dollars. All right, misleading. Why is it misleading? Okay, doesn't start at 0. All right, it starts at 68,800. Okay, hopefully you've noticed that. Right, why might someone, or what might someone believe because of it? Okay, they might believe that you could say not very much money was given in 2002. Okay, you could say not very much money was given in 2002. right? You could say that the amount of money has increased a lot, right, in the past 3 years. But if you notice, in 2002, it was just under 69,000. And then clear in 2005 it's under 69,800. So it's only improved by about 1,000. Okay, that's not a lot of improvement, but the graph looks like it grew a lot. All right, so those are some things to look at, that might be what you would believe. All right, what about the second graph? Okay, vertical. Okay, how is this misleading? Starts at 0. Okay, vertical axis is great. Right, what about the horizontal graph? Is it going up by the same amount? All right, if you notice here, that's going up by 5 years, by 2 years, by 3 years. All right, so it is misleading. Okay, is your horizontal or x-axis is not even interval. Okay, it's not going up. It needs to be, if it's going by 5 years, then the next one should be 5 years. Okay, so it's not going up that same amount. What might someone believe, okay, because of this? What might someone believe, right, as we're going through here? What could you maybe believe? Okay, one thing that I'm looking at is, okay, the number of miles on the car is the first 5 years had a lot of miles. Okay, so you notice that the first 5 years got a lot of miles, but if you notice that the next group is only 2 years. All right, so did they really kind of even out their amount of miles there, and then the next 3 years they went a lot more, or is it just because of the amount of years that you have? Okay, is that the amount of mileage was mostly in the first 5 years? Okay, so just quick review. Okay, those are the 3 things in each graph and stats that you should be looking for, right, when you are, okay, going to your assignment. All right, if you have any questions, please ask your partner when you get with them here in just a little bit. All right, you can put your notes into your binder, keep them out. Okay, Mr. Ackerman has your assignment that you can get started on looking for graphs. All right, some might challenge you, some is where really look for vertical, horizontal axes of your graphs and see what might be misleading. So you're looking for misleading graphs. Okay, hopefully you had a good day, and we'll see you on Friday.